Yes, there's many things that can alter. It's not really all memories. Like as much as I would like it to be memories, or as much as I would like it to be one core specific thing, I think the hardest question here is not what makes us who we are. The hardest question here is what is that one specific thing that if we were to be without, we would not be the same person at all in all circumstances, right? And you could say that's memory, right? You could say that, but it's not always memory. It's not always memory. It's not always memory, right? Because for instance, there's this fellow in psychology with this case study back in what 1950s. This fellow Phineas Cage. When was this? Phineas Cage. This is 1800s. Phineas Cage. The accident. Yeah, while working on a railroad, a large iron rod shot through Cage's. Oh, it's not Cage. It's Phineas Gage. Gage's head entering through his cheek and exiting the top of his skull. That's rough, buddy. That's rough. That's rough. Yeah, so before the accident, Gage was known as a responsible and well-liked individual, but after the injury, he became impulsive, irritable, and prone to profanity, exhibiting significant personality changes. And this was a landmark in neuropsychology, providing early evidence of the localization of brain functions, particularly those related to decision making and social behavior. Right? So you've probably heard of Phineas Cage. You've probably heard of him. And his issue wasn't that he lost his memories, right? Like as much as I would like it to be that, oh yeah, lose your memories and suddenly you're not the same person. It's really not just memories. It can be it can be, for instance, what makes us who we are. Our genetic makeup, for instance, right? It's like, what were you born with, or like what is your IQ, right? Like how were you born? How did you come out of your mother, right? What is the color of your skin? How large is your brain? How small or large is your brain? What is your IQ? To what degree are you artistically inclined, as opposed to cold, hard facts guy? Cold, hard logic guy. Are you drunk on symbols, or or do you just love math, or do you just love the are you just like, I'm not, like, don't talk to me about the metaphysical, right? Like if I can't test it under the empirical evidence, it doesn't matter to me, right? It's like, what, right? It's like, I don't care. I'm not gonna take psychedelics and then see something that looks like DNA, and then suddenly I believe DNA. I believe we can see DNA, by taking mushrooms or whatever, right? It's like yeah, it's like I'm not going to go off of anything that I can't empirically prove, of course. Although, empirical evidence, or scientific evidence, has its own limits, right? But like, yeah. So yeah, maybe that went on a little bit too long there, but but yeah, man. Like, what 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 makes us who we are? It's a lot of things. It's it's a lot of things, right? It's the place that you were born in, how you were raised. It's like, if you were raised in one place as opposed to the other. Say like, if you're say like a video game concept, right? Like, say like, Cyberpunk. You were born as a corporal, as opposed to you were born in the desert lands, or you were born as a street kid, right? Like, it's like you're playing the same character, but they're not really the same character. It's like different life paths. It's like, what makes us who we are? What makes us who we are? Uh, well, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, or is it a golden spoon? Right? I was born with a golden spoon in my mouth, or I was born and raised eating with my fingers. Right? I was born in a place where I sat on the toilet. I took a shit in the toilet, and the toilet wiped my own ass for me, as opposed to I was born in a place where, in order to take a shit, there's like a little house, a little dog house in the back of in the back of our house. There's like a little stall there, and in that little stall there's a hole in the middle of that little stall, and you squat in that little, you squat on the hole, and you take a shit down the hole, and you look down the hole, and there's like a river of shit and maggots, squirming around and bubbling, like, all the chemistry is going down there, like you actually see the maggots crawling in that river of shit, and you think to yourself, maybe one day, if I'm not careful, I may fall in there, but you look between your legs, and hey, that hole is not big enough for you to fall in there, but then you wonder, maybe some terrible mother has thrown a child under one of these freaking holes, right? Some miserable human being has thrown a baby down this shithole, and there was just no way to get the baby back, and the baby drowned in the river of shit. Like maybe you were born in that kind of place. So that's certainly going to alter. That is certainly going to alter the way that you were raised. The way that you see things, the things that you find is whatever. It's like it's going to alter your sensibilities to things, right? Like either you grew up in a very pampered existence, or it's like you grew up. You grew up being the person responsible for, cutting off the chicken's head, and so you can pluck off its feathers and help your parents prepare it for dinner or lunch, right? I think you have to look deeper, but at the end of the day, you have to consider that if something goes wrong in your brain, it's you're just not going to be the same person, man. You're just not going to be the same person. But of course, in that instance, as a counter argument, one may say that in that case, Phineas Gage went insane, right? Like it's like the brain trauma, the brain damage made him go insane. So, but what is insanity, right? It's like, okay, well, yeah, it's not like he changed. He just went insane, right? No, man, no. Right? Like, I mean, I would like to say that, but it's like, it's the same thing as it's like say that you go to sleep, and then you wake up and you walk down the stairs, or maybe you don't have stairs in your house. Yeah, it's like you get up from your bed, and you're walking through the halls, and you start doing things, and maybe you may do something that you may regret the moment after, but maybe it may be so that you don't quite remember what you did when you woke up that night. So did you go insane? Were you still the same person? It's like, were you the same person when you woke up and started walking, went and did things that you don't remember? Were you the same person? Like, were you the same person? Or were you the same person, man? Like, this is a serious question. Were you the same person? How could you be conscious and not be the same person? Well, okay, well, answer. That can come to be the case when you lose your memory. Right, like when you black out, right? It's like, okay, all right, we're not the same person without our memories. Let's say that we're not the same person without our memories, right? So yeah, look, Your Honor, I didn't kill my wife. I didn't grab a knife from the kitchen table, go back to the bedroom, and stab my wife 67 times. I was actually sleepwalking, right? It wasn't me, Your Honor. My hands did it. My hands. It was my very own hands, right? When I came to myself, my hands were covered in blood, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I wasn't in my right mind, Your Honor. I blacked out. I was possessed by a demon. It wasn't me, right? So, look, he was temporarily insane. The man was temporarily insane. Either, I don't know if you call that insanity, but, you know, he was not in a situation where he could tell between right and wrong, or even where the hell he was, right? So, was he insane? Or was he, well, let's say he was sleepwalking. His mind was gone and his body was acting on its own. How is that even possible? Like, it's not like he's a zombie or he's dead, but his body was acting on its own. He was not there. So, you know, whatever the case may be, right? It's like, you come to be a different person. Let's say, was he even a person at all? Right? Like, I wonder, in that case, are you even a person at all? Well, I suppose you're still a person even without your memories. Well, right, let's say that, right? Like, yeah, I think it's logical to say that an idiot, that is an old term. I mean to say, a person who is mentally challenged. Well, you know, you can call them an idiot. You can call them a retard. You know, the funny thing about these words is that these all sound like insults, but at one point they were actually, you know, they weren't meant that way. So, okay, well, let's say a person who is mentally challenged, right? To avoid any awkward misunderstandings. It's like, yeah, okay. In any case, that is a tangent. Yeah, of course, you know, a person who is mentally challenged is still a human being, is still a person. Yeah, but so yes, they were a person, but well, all right. So, you know, what makes us who we are? Our memories. You're not the same person without your memories, and your memories compile. Your memories are the amalgamation of the nature of your birth or upbringing. Well, the upbringing is more like the nurture. Our memories are the nurture and the environment in which you were brought up. Those let's say all those things fall within memories, right? The nature of your upbringing. Let's say, you know, what makes us who we are. I was born. I wasn't born with the right number of chromosomes, right? And so, or maybe I was born with an extra chromosomes. And like I was either born with less or more chromosomes than a regular person needs. So I ended up with male sex organ within my body where the ovaries are supposed to be, and on the outside I ended up with something that looks like a mutilated penis, but it's some sort of combination between you know, the female sex organ and, you know, the female and the male sex organ, right? It's a penis, but it's also a vagina. So, you know, I grew up, I was raised, I just didn't come out right? That is the nature, and, you know, the nature of how you were raised, or the nature of how you were created, that can greatly impact who you are. Although, in regards to nature and nurture, it's like two people from drastically different continents could have the same opinions on things and just about get along, you know, to the degree that they even become best friends, right? But then, you know, you could ask, why is that? You know, how can that come to be? Well, you know, temperaments, and maybe at one point in time they were exposed to the same world philosophy, you know, despite having been in two drastically different countries, right? It's like, yeah, you know, I'm a guy that comes from Africa, you know, and there's this guy that comes from, I don't know, man, like the Northern Isles, man, the freaking, the mountains, the freezing cold, you know, and somehow we're both Marxists, you know, we come to the agreement that actually, you know, maybe Karl Marx might have had something to say. Karl Marx might have been onto something, right? You know, we turn out to be very very, very happy communists. We think it's a very great idea, right? It's like, yeah,